All right, greetings everyone. I want to greet you with lots of love, peace, and positivity. And I'm on my way to work. And today is October 3rd. It is a Tuesday. I hope your October has gotten off to a positive start. And I hope everything's going well with you all. And what I'm doing now is as I head on into work each day, I'll do a live stream to talk with y'all. And yesterday went well. Yesterday's live stream work went well too. Yeah, I actually enjoy it, and it goes by very quickly. And then I get excited about getting back home to the family. How's it going, Tazak? I saw that post there. Now, y'all not going to get me into no trouble now trying to drive and check out the chat room messages, okay? The other thing, too, is sometimes I noticed yesterday that while I was driving, the signal would cut out. So if that happens, just stay tuned, okay? It'll come back on. I'll just keep it running from now until I get to work. It usually takes about 20 minutes, a little bit over 20 minutes to get to work. And I'm actually making good time today. Yesterday I talked about the mass shooting that took place in Las Vegas, and I basically addressed it from two different vantage points. One from the vantage point of people's inability to deal with tragic situations, and sometimes our unwillingness to feel the feelings and emotions that we would normally feel as human beings when tragedy strikes. And so what people tend to do, I think it's a psychological defense mechanism or even an emotional defense mechanism, is they will figure out a way to discredit the event. And in the conspiracy theory paradigm, many people, what they tend to do is they'll call it a hoax, or they'll say it's a false flag, or they'll say that it's an inside job. These phrases aren't necessarily, or this terminology is not necessarily specific, nor is it necessarily valid in the early stages of any given event. And when we talk about investigations, but people tend to come out right away, and that's what I have a problem with. Yes, there have been many events that have been fake. Let me give an example. The supposed assassination of Osama bin Laden. No evidence or proof of that whatsoever. Many people bought into that. Millions upon millions, tens of millions of people, probably, well, let's be real, hundreds of millions of people around the world bought into that. But did we ever receive any evidence or proof whatsoever that he was assassinated? And the answer is no. No evidence or proof whatsoever. None. What we were given by mass media was computer-generated images. That's what we were given. We were given computer-generated images, as if computer-generated images is evidence and proof of the assassination, supposed assassination of Osama bin Laden. That's media mind control and manipulation. See, that is a fake event. It is a hoax. Again, no evidence was ever provided. No evidence that was sent up in the court of law. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk about proper intellectual process. So this is to say that in the absence of any evidence, one can conclude that a particular event that is proposed to have happened did not happen. I mean, you have to have some evidence or proof, right? It makes sense. So I'm not here to say that somehow there aren't events that are fabricated or that are not true or that are not inside jobs, quote unquote inside jobs, or false flags. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there's something wrong, and it is. There's something wrong with us psychologically speaking as human beings, even emotionally speaking, when a tragedy does take place, and automatically we seek to discredit the event outright, even though there's plenty of evidence and proof right there in front of us. Okay, y'all see my point that I'm getting at here? So yesterday, what I found to be interesting, right away I saw people proposing that it was a false flag event, or that it didn't take place, or that it was a hoax. And I talked about how, from a psychological standpoint, I think people do that. One, because they're trying to fulfill their need to continue to maintain their conspiracy theory paradigm. And it is not a good place to be emotionally or psychologically speaking long term. And I was in that paradigm for quite some time. It is unhealthy. And so in order to justify that paradigm, any event, doesn't matter what it is, the first thing that people say, it's a false flag, it didn't take place, it's the government, it's the Illuminati. Depending on your quote unquote race, you'll say it's white supremacy. You'll say that it's, it's black on black crime. These are thugs. These are gangsters. No, these are just people who did some bad shit. Let's just call it for what it is. And we don't have to take some sort of conspiratorial type of orientation to it. But even deeper than that, why can't we acknowledge the fact that we have within us as human beings a dark side, and that the dark side does come out at times, and that we are capable of doing and committing heinous acts. And I think for a lot of people, they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit this truth because it forces them to look at their own darkness that they have within them. That's what I'm saying. It's unhealthy, and it's also unreasonable and irrational. The point that I'm getting at is that's one of the reasons why I think people's reaction that I saw, especially like online, circulating on social media, it was so prevalent. You know, people unwilling to deal with the fact that no, this actually took place. So I addressed it from a vantage point of the conspiracy theory paradigm. Conspiracy theory paradigm is unhealthy. Psychologically, emotionally, you'll find that people who get stuck there, and there's nothing wrong with going there, because I've been there. I've done documentaries on the work. I spent a great deal of time, great deal of energy, production time, money, you know, read the books, you know, ordered the DVDs. I remember I ordered all of Jordan Maxwell's DVDs back in the day, all of them, and I would watch them over and over. I read all of David Icke's books, except the last two. He may have written another one since that time, so maybe his last three. Purchased all that, read that stuff, the Alien Agenda, or Reptilian Agenda with Credo Mutwa, bought all of Credo Mutwa's books, read all of those, and his book's about that thick. I mean, he's awesome storyteller, But the point is this, that I've been to the conspiracy theory paradigm, and I can assure you, and I've also produced many documentaries dealing with conspiracy theories, I assure you that it is unhealthy to remain there indefinitely, and I see so many people, and the people who do, I'm going to be honest, tend to develop psychological issues. Some going in already have psychological issues, but when you put yourself in a state of perpetual fear, you're going to develop psychological issues, and many people become sociopathic. Many people have very difficult times relating to a very difficult, what is the term I'm looking for? They have a very difficult time trying to relate to other human beings because they're always in a state of fear. And they also tend to have this sense that somehow they're better than other people because they know and everyone else is asleep and everyone else is sheep. Well, this is unhealthy. It's no different than, let's say, someone who is a religious person. They look at non-religious people and somehow they look at non-religious people as non-religious people are less than they are. I mean, what kind of shit is that? That somehow you're better than someone because you think you know something that, and then people tell me, well, you don't know about this. What the fuck? I've already done all the research at Bilderbergs, Illuminati, reptilian shapeshifters, HARP, FEMA. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Martial law. People have been talking about martial law for the last 20 years. It's not anything new. I will run circles around most people. 99% of the people who are in the conspiracy theory paradigm, I will run circles around them in terms of my knowledge base when it comes to conspiracy theories. I've done documentaries on it. I've done lectures on it. So what I'm saying is people can't tell me that I don't know this information. What I am saying is that just because you know don't mean that you know shit. And just because you know and it puts you in a state of perpetual fear, it's unhealthy for you. And that's precisely why, in my opinion, many of the people who, when they heard about the mass shootings, right away, automatically, what do they say? It's the government. It's an inside job. It's the Illuminati. You know, it's a terror. It's a false flag terror event. On and on and on, instantaneously, without even looking at any evidence or proof whatsoever. Now, here's the thing: is it possible that it's a quote unquote government project, if you will? It's possible, but you can't say that shit like 5 minutes after the event takes place. I've heard people say things like, no, these people are all acting. What you're saying is we have literally 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 actors. How many people, and it's probably more than that, how many people were actually there? And I have a relative who actually was in Las Vegas when this took place, and they were 2 or 3 miles away from the actual shooting. How many people would we have to say are actors in order to see all these people running as they're running? I mean, how many people? They're getting paid? All of them getting paid? Is the band getting paid too? Are they operative for the government too? I mean, how far does this go? The planners, they must also, everyone who goes into planning these types of events, massive amounts of people, massive amounts of planning, and all these people are possible. Government agents too? I mean, where does it end? I mean, it literally becomes insanity, and this is what I mean by psychologically, people are unhealthy. But you know, part of it is they don't want to deal with the fact that, no, there are human beings out here who will go out and commit heinous acts. Many people who get caught up in the conspiracy theory paradigm, they come from a background of being abused on different levels. And so therefore, the conspiracy theory paradigms maintains them in a state of perpetual fear. Just like when they were a child and they were abused. Well, now they look for the information that continues the abuse as opposed to dealing with your own healing. What you're doing is you're triggering your trauma over and over again, and people get addicted to that. I've been there, people. I've been there. I've gone through it. You can't tell me shit else that you think you may know that I don't know. You can't tell me anything else. I've already been through all of it. Other people who have perpetuated the levels of mental and psychological damage on people who get stuck inside of the conspiracy theory paradigm is someone like Alex Jones. An interesting thing about Alex Jones, and this is another thing that I noticed within the conspiracy theory paradigm, a lot of the folk, and it's mainly dominated by white males. It's mainly dominated by white men. Why is that relevant? It's relevant because a lot of these white males, as they continue to go through the conspiracy paradigm, they become more and more unstable emotionally, more and more unstable psychologically, and then they begin to express, and in some cases adopt, but in many cases they begin to outwardly express covert ideas that are rooted in racism against other people, against non-white people. And this is wherein you get into white nationalism. Alex Jones is part of that. Over the years, back in the day, you didn't really, and he's been around for a long time. Back in the day, you didn't really hear him talking that shit like, you know, yeah, these black people are out here and they're causing all this mayhem and they're out here targeting white people and we have to take our guns and protect ourselves. And he didn't talk like that back in the day. But what tends to happen, he's already mentally unstable anyway. A lot of people are mentally unstable in the conspiracy theory paradigm. A lot of them have very difficult times establishing long-standing relationships, positive relationships. A lot of them have a difficult time dealing with their children. A lot of them are absentee parents, absentee fathers, absentee mothers. The fuck out of here, what you know, what someone else knows. You can't even take care of your own children. I'm going to work right now, so you can't tell me shit. And I still run my online businesses, right? But the point is this, that people like Alex Jones, the level of emotional imbalance, mental imbalance, all of that filters into his information. And over the years, he has become more and more rooted in this notion of white nationalism. And a lot of that has to do with what people would call white supremacy. I have a problem with that. And see, here's the thing. I don't listen to Alex Jones, and I didn't listen to him too long either when I first got into the conspiracy theory paradigm, which goes back over a decade. I couldn't stand it simply because he was ultra emotional and he exaggerated everything. Everything was out of control. And even the manner in which he presented things, it wasn't like he was intellectually gifted or somehow he was able to communicate effectively. Everything was over the top. It's no different than if you're watching, let's say, WWF and you hear the announcers in the background. That's what it reminded me of. Oh, look at this. He just went, oh, and now look, he throws them against the ropes and such and such. And then 99% of his information is quoted directly from the mainstream media. He just puts a spin on it where it's more conspiratorial. See, the whole conspiratorial idea or the concept, really, it's rooted in the notion that someone is out there, or a group of people, this elite, they're out there to get you. So just imagine you're living like that and you're always thinking like that. You're going to develop paranoia. You're going to develop different psychological issues because you're always in a state of perpetual fear. And this is precisely why, getting back to the point, that a lot of people in the conspiracy theory paradigm, the first thing that they do when they hear stories of mass shootings is they blow things out of proportions in terms of the conspiratorial aspect. This has to be an inside job. It's government agencies, it's a black ops. Here's another shit. This is something I always hear, which is utterly ridiculous. Well, you know, they had, during this time, on that day, in that city, they were having special operations taking place by the military. What the fuck? That happens every single day in every single city. It's happening all over the place. What is that supposed to be special? You know, they had a special, and this was a false flag because they have this, the military, they have these military training exercises 5 miles away or 10 miles away in the same city. That doesn't mean anything. Right now, they're having military exercises right here in Salt Lake City, but ain't shit happening. But see, now if something happens here today, then now it's a false flag because there was a military exercise. It's not even intelligent. It's not rational. That's what I'm saying. A lot of that stuff, people get into the conspiracy. It's not even intelligent. It's not rational. Everything is blown out of proportion to fit the conspiracy theory paradigm. I mean, think about it. Does that make sense? What I just said? I'm almost at work. I love doing these live streams because it makes me get to work fast. I don't drive any faster, but if I'm talking to you, I don't have to worry about, you know, I just get there. We're almost there. But this makes sense. So as an example, whatever city you're in right now, there are military operations that are taking place right now. In fact, in certain schools, in certain buildings, in certain corporate buildings, they're having different exercises, you know, drills. Here's another one. They had a military drill, or they had an emergency drill, or that's happening. I mean, some of y'all at work today, you're going to have a fire drill. But did anything else happen outside of that would prove that there's somehow, that would be used to prove that there's somehow some kind of false flag event taking place? No, I mean, it happens every single day. It's no big deal. You mean to tell me that in Las Vegas on any given day, they don't have any type of military operation or police operation or firefighters operation or special operation, or even inside the buildings or in the offices, earthquake drills, fire drills, there's another drill that they have nowadays, an active shooter drills that they have now. Now, it's gotten crazy here in the United States of America. When you have to have active shooter drills. Yes, this takes place too. It happens every single day. So why isn't it that we don't say there's false flag events taking place on any of these other days? But then once something happens on a particular day, now all of a sudden it's a false flag because there were certain drills that were taking place? Yeah, but there was drills taking place the day before. You see what I'm saying? This is rational. It's intelligent. There'll be drills that will take place tomorrow. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, he's going to give me some more and some more. That's the inside job. And I want some more and some more and some more. Y'all see my point? Part of the thing, part of what I'm getting at here is intellectual process, proper intellectual process. See, and in the absence of proper intellectual process, people will accept hearsay, conjecture, as being evidence or proof. Just because someone said, as another example, here's another thing. I saw this today, and a lot of people were using this to say that, no, this is why we know that it was an inside job, it was a conspiracy. There was this young lady, and supposedly, as I said, she was her 21st birthday. But anyway, they were interviewing her, and she was supposedly towards the front row of the stage where the shooting took place. And she said that there was this couple, and one of the ladies, the female in the couple, had said something like, "You're all going to die today," or something to that effect. But the context was they had a disagreement. The real the context of the whole situation was that group, that the couple were, I guess they were arguing with another group of people, and who people say shit like that. You're going to die today. You're all going to die today. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to fuck you up. That's nothing, And she was like, the lady was, and he said, well, can you give a description for these two people? Yeah, they were, what did she say? Something like Latino or Mexican or something like that, or Spanish or Spanish. I don't know what, something like that. But in other words, it was like some Mexican folks and Latinos, something like that. Yeah, and they were about 5 feet. They were in the 5 feet, so like maybe 5'4", 5 foot. She's giving this description, but the way that she's saying it is as if to suggest that these two people knew that this event was going to take place because people were killed, and they had said, "You are going to die today." People talk that shit, and it's a concert. People get drunk, people get into the altercations, and they say shit, and it don't mean that they're part of some inside job conspiracy, that somehow they're part of it, and they know the shooter, and they already knew in advance. Why the fuck, if they knew in advance that it was happening, why would they be there? And then why would they tell people that it was going to take place? First of all, if you're part of it, and you know that all these people are going to get shot and killed, and you're right there in line of fire, why the fuck are you going to sit there and be there? Are we still on? I'm sorry, it just cut out, but I'm gonna say that again. Just think about this logically. Again, proper intellectual process. If you're part of this massive conspiracy, this I don't know, whatever you want to call it, false flag, inside job, government operation, government op, whatever, military operation. If you're part of this and you're 5 foot ass and you and your partner, and you're going to have front row seats to the concert and you're in the line of fire and all these people, and you know in advance all these people are going to get killed, and you would also know that he's going to be using, automatic weapons and all this kind of stuff. Why the fuck would you be there? And why would you be standing there? And then why would you tell people in advance? Does that make sense to you? No, it doesn't make sense to you, because that's not the proper context. The context is they were in an altercation, they were arguing, and someone probably said something to someone else, who knows, maybe they said something that pissed the couple off, or maybe one person dropped the drink on the other person, and people get upset and people get riled up and they start arguing and fussing and fighting, and then people start talking that shit. That's what happens. And sometimes what people get to is, I'm gonna fuck you, I'm gonna kill you, all y'all gonna die tonight. Does that mean that they're part of this conspiracy or inside job? No. But the problem is that people who are looking for some sort of evidence that will prove the conspiracy theory, they will take that and use that statement as if to suggest that somehow it was an inside job. That's not even intelligent, people. And I don't know, maybe some of y'all will accept that because you're not used to dealing with certain types of people or dealing in certain types of situations. But there's been times where I've said things like that. I've said things like that, but that doesn't mean that somehow I'm on the inside when an event takes place. You know, there's been times, you know, I'm sure, where people were at a party and people were joking around. Back in the day when I was coming up, people were at a party and people were joking around, and someone goes, you know what? Someone's gonna bust a drive-by and kill all your asses tonight, and everyone starts laughing because it's funny, right? I guess it's funny. It could be back then. I'm sorry, I'm managing my thing right here. And everyone starts laughing because that's how things were back in the day. There was a lot of drive-by shootings. And then, you know, coincidentally, a drive-by shooting takes place. Now, no one gets killed, or maybe somebody gets killed, or maybe someone gets shot. But does that mean that the person who initially made that joke had foreknowledge about that, and then now that it was an inside job, it's a government conspiracy? No, it doesn't mean that. Y'all see my point? Okay, I'm parking now, and I got 6 minutes, and plus I got to go into this office to give my ID. I finally got my employee number yesterday, and then I ain't had nothing like that in such a long time. I haven't worked a regular job in over a decade, but I had to do this for my family, and you have to do what you got to do. And I'm not. I still have to buy me an actual phone holder. I'm actually made up. I should show y'all what I got set up right here, just to do these live streams. But I didn't want to waste any more time and wait any longer. But how much time I got here? Okay, I got 5 minutes. Okay, so let me finish this up in 2 minutes, and I get up out of here. I got to go into the office. But I got to pick up my ID today. But y'all see my point? That's the problem with the conspiracy. When you get caught into the conspiracy theory paradigm, you will find any kind of information and you will use it. It could be hearsay. You heard someone said something, or someone said this, or someone said that. Alex Jones said this. So what is that supposed to mean? That's not evidence and proof. Evidence and proof must be tangible. So if someone's going to say that this was a false flag, or that it was a military operation, where's the evidence and proof of that? Now, what I do know is that definitely there was a shooting there. I had I'm not, let me be careful. I don't want to say who it was, and I don't even want to say if it was a he or she, but I have a relative, a close relative, who was 2-3 miles away from this event when it took place. So it did not take place? No, something took place. Now, are there questions? Yes. Is there information that doesn't quite sound right? Yes, but that's usually the case early on in the investigations anyway. That's nothing special. People don't know what's going on. Even the people who were there didn't know what was going on. These are the people who are being interviewed. And that girl who, you know, the 21-year-old who made that statement was trying to imply that somehow they had foreknowledge. These Mexicans or these Latinos or these, I can't remember what she said, but I started laughing when she said it. These 5'2", 5'3" people, that somehow they were part of this. You know, that was utterly ridiculous. But people took that and have run with that so as to suggest that this was an inside job. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it may be that it was. It may be that people had foreknowledge. Yes, it could be. That's possible. You know, you can't count anything out. But what I'm saying is, have some evidence and proof. And don't jump to some conclusions just to fulfill your need to fulfill, or your need to fulfill the conspiracy theory paradigm, because that's unhealthy. And it's also indicative of sociopathic behavior, wherein you're not acknowledging the fact that people have died. I've heard people say, yeah, well, how this guy, 500 people were injured and people were killed too. How he's going to injure 500 people? He was only shooting for, he was shooting for quite a period of time. But understand this, it's not just the people who were hurt by being shot and who didn't die. It's also the people who were stepped on, who were trampled. A lot of people get killed and get hurt that way. People who fall down, bumping up against other people in the panic. This happens all the time in, you know, sports arenas and so forth. Y'all gonna make me late. Let me get up out of here. The point is this, folks, you know, we have to maintain our humanity no matter what. And it doesn't matter how far or deep you get into the conspiracy theory paradigm. Don't allow it to consume you to a certain point to where you deny yourself of your own humanity and of your ability to emote and be able to feel emotions, strong emotions and compassion for other people, and simply saying, no, it didn't happen. Don't do that. Don't do that. Unless you have conclusive evidence and proof, don't do that. It's unhealthy. Psychologically, it's unhealthy. Emotionally, it's unhealthy. And it's damaging to you long term too. I've been in that paradigm. I'm so thankful that I got out of that paradigm and I've lived a much happier life. And again, people say, oh, but you don't even know. I know more shit about it than you do, than probably you ever know. I'll run circles around you intellectually any given day. Let's do this. Yeah, we're going to do. Okay. I'll talk with y'all soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful day on behalf of the Honor family. Y'all take care. Peace.